Samus in Smash 64 is not the best character. She's not particularly fast with awkward mobility, she has an extremely slow grab, and she doesn't exactly have the best combo game. She does have some great tools and she can excel in certain areas, but the more lacking aspects of the character firmly put her in the lower half of the game's roster. Samus does have a few great moves, but she also has very questionable moves, and possibly her most questionable move is her up tilt. Samus does an arcing kick. The move has two different hits, with the first hit being a weaker hit with horizontal knockback, and the second hit is a stronger kick with higher damage and knockback. The move's arc, combined with its constantly active hitboxes, allow it to hit opponents in numerous directions, being able to hit opponents on the ledge or on the Dreamland side platforms, which is nice. But apart from that, and one more positive I will get into later, this move is an absolute mess, and I will now explain why this move is a bit of a disaster. The first problem with this move is something I normally wouldn't start off with, but it is such a baffling design choice that I just have to mention it right now. So this move has two different sets of hitboxes like I mentioned before. You would assume that the move has two separate hits with the first hit leading into the second hit. Well, if that's what you thought, I'm afraid I'm going to have to correct you. This move does not have two separate hits like you would expect. The move instead has a weaker early hit and a stronger late hit. If you land the early hit, you cannot connect the stronger late hit. That's right. Instead of functioning like a multi-hit like it would logically seem like it would, it instead works like a Dr. Mario Nair. You might now be thinking, well, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. Trust me, once I explain this move in more detail, you will understand how utterly insane this design choice was. Now let's move on to what I would normally talk about first, the move speed. The early hit comes out on frame 8, which isn't too bad, I guess. But you know what is too bad? The late hit, because that comes out on frame 25. Frame 25. Do you understand how slow that is? It takes more than triple the amount of time for the late hit to come out compared to the early hit. The late hit is substantially slower than almost every forward smash in the game. It is slower than a charge shot, and it is slower than DK's fully charged giant punch. This makes the late hit really hard to land, as it is so slow. The opponent can easily react to it, and if your timing is off or the opponent is too close, they will get hit by the much weaker early hit, which is even worse for Samus. The move has 43 total frames, which is fine if the opponent gets hit by the late hit, but this is pretty long if you land the early hit, making the early hit pretty risky, as well as making the entire move easily whiff punishable. With how slow the stronger late hit is, you might now be thinking, well, surely the late hit must be really strong. No, it's not. The late hit does not KO Mario from the center of Dreamland until he's over 160%, which is pretty late in this game. It is substantially weaker than the weakest forward smash in the game, and its KO power is only around average for an up tilt, and even then, pretty much all of the weaker up tilts in this game can combo into KO moves at significantly lower percents. Even Samus's down tilt is a stronger KO move, and that's the proper frame 8 tilt. Its KO power isn't even that much better near the blast zone, with the late hit not KOing Mario at the edge of Dreamland until he's at 134%, which is not as much of an improvement as you would hope. And as for the early hit, you can pretty much completely forget about KOing with that. And no, the move does not have much combo potential. At very specific percents, you can combo into a dash attack with perfect execution, which can even potentially lead into a tech chase, although this is very tight and the dash attack is unsafe on shield, so this is risky to go for. Jab or down tilt can also work at very specific percents at specific ranges and specific matchups, but those are not very threatening follow-ups. It can combo into forward air at certain percents if the opponent's far above you when you land the up tilt. And that's basically it. Dash attack doesn't even work if you get the early hit as late as possible. You need to get the late hit or you just don't have enough time to dash attack. The move has less combo potential than pretty much every other up tilt in the game, so yeah.
That's no good.
But let's get back to the early hit because oh my, this early hit is a bit of a disaster. So this hitbox comes out in frame 8 as I mentioned before, which is okay.
But, and this is a big but,
what I didn't mention is that this hitbox doesn't really hit in front of Samus. The early hit mainly hits behind and above Samus, with the move barely having any range in front of her. Unless the opponent is really The move only hits behind Samus on its first active frame, not hitting in front of her until way later, dramatically slowing down the move and making it way harder to land. This is fine if the opponent's behind you, of course, but if the opponent's in front of you, just forget about up tilt. Literally any of Samus's other ground options would be better options than waiting for the up tilt to slowly hit in front of her. The early hit also cannot hit smaller characters in front of her at all, which is kind of a good thing due to how bad the early hit is. But it means that this move hits so ridiculously slowly against these characters. Frame 25 hitbox, by the way. The move doesn't even have good range behind her, being quite stubby, so the move isn't even good in that scenario. On shield, the early hit is -19, which is really bad. This gives the opponent more than enough time to hit Samus with a chunky punish or a combo starter. Samus can somewhat space the move, which can make it a bit harder to punish, but the move can still easily be punished when spaced. If the opponent shields the move in front of Samus, the move can actually connect on its first possible frame, which is an absolute disaster, as the opponent is even closer to Samus after shielding the move, making it even easier for them to punish.
Die.
But if you thought -19 on shield was already bad enough, it gets worse. If you land up tilt when the opponent is at 0%, the move is -24 on hit. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Can you say that again? -24 on hit. That is only one frame less than the amount of time it takes for up tilt strong hit to come out. The move is already really unsafe on shield, but the mastermind made the ingenious decision to make the move even more unsafe on hit than on shield. Since the move is even more minus on hit and you aren't restricted by shield, this opens up way more punishes, including almost every smash attack, charge shot, and giant punch. It is more optimal to get hit by this move at 0% than it is to shield the move. And if that is still not bad enough for you somehow, you sick freak, the move is even more unsafe on a crouch cancel hit at -31, so that makes things even more fun for the opponent. The move's knockback does of course scale, so this stops being a problem at high enough percents. But even at those higher percents, getting hit by early up tilt is not very threatening. If you land the first hit as late as possible, it is only -3 on shield, which does make it safe on shield in almost every scenario. It is only one frame better than F tilt, which is drastically faster, and it is even stronger, but hey, it is technically safer on shield than Samus's other tilts. On hit, however, the latest early hit is -8, which is still punishable by pretty much everyone.
Well, this sucks.
I've critiqued this move a lot, but it's time for me to look at something which is actually good about this move.
Yes.
I actually have something positive to say about this move. The late hit is +7 on shield, which is actually good. This allows Samus to get a guaranteed forward tilt on shield, and it generally gives Samus a bunch of ways to pressure the opponent's shield. Forward smash is a frame 12 option, and while it is avoidable, it is a powerful move which is also plus on shield, with the up angle version being the strongest as well as being +7 on shield like late up tilt, making it a solid pressure option after up tilt. Wait, if up angled F smash comes out way faster, it's way stronger and is just as good on shield, why not just forward smash instead on a platform? Samus gets different options to pressure the opponent, which can be fairly powerful. For most characters, +7 would be good enough to get a dash grab, but this is unfortunately not an option for Samus due to her abysmal grab. But that isn't up tilt's fault, however, and it is still nice that you can get some frame advantage to play around with on shield. The late hit is worse on hit than on shield at lower percents, although it is at the very least safe on hit, as long as the opponent doesn't crouch cancel. The main issue with landing the late hit on shield though is that if you space the up tilt incorrectly or if the opponent is too close, you will land the early hit on shield, and that's a lot less ideal. The opponent will recover before Samus does, and they can even hit Samus depending on the scenario. The opponent also can't be too far away on a platform or the up tilt will whiff, so that's also something you really don't want to happen. So Samus's up tilt comes out slowly, it has a terrible initial hit which is really unsafe, even on hit at lower percents, and the late hit is way too slow and it isn't even strong if you do manage to actually land it. In addition to having no meaningful combo potential unlike pretty much every other up tilt in the game. So what uses could this move possibly have? Well, the hitboxes do cover a decent amount of space, being able to hit opponents on the Dreamland platforms as well as opponents hanging on the ledge. Because of this, the move is usable as an edge guarding option or as an option to poke opponents on the Dreamland side platforms. That's it. It's not even that good in those areas due to how the move is designed. Samus pretty much always has other options which are better and more reliable. This also applies to other situations too. If the opponent is in front of you, just use forward smash or maybe down tilt. Forward smash is way faster and stronger, with forward smash even being as safe on shield as late up tilt if you angle it upwards. If the opponent is above you in some way, use one of your aerials or screw attack. Back air is a way faster arcing kick, which is also pretty explosive, even if the opponent is behind you. Down air is faster, has more range behind Samus, and it is actually safe at lower percents, and at higher percents, it can combo into charge shot or back air for an early KO. Also not to mention down air's tech chasing potential. So why would you use up tilt? You wouldn't! It is borderline useless, and it is pretty much outclassed by at least one of Samus's other tools in pretty much every situation. Overall, Samus's up tilt is awful. The move feels borderline unfinished with how stupidly it was designed. The move is laggy, and its early hit has a really awkward hitbox, making it really hard to land unless the opponent's right behind you or above you. Not to mention that the early hit is very weak, being flat out punishable on hit at lower percents. And then the late hit comes out so ridiculously slowly, making it extremely easy to avoid, and even if you land it, it isn't even strong and it doesn't even have meaningful combo potential. In a best case scenario, the move works and it does what you want it to do. But Samus pretty much always has way better options. This move is just such a big liability to throw out. Using this move in a way that actually helps you instead of hindering you is so much harder than it should be. It's a train wreck. This move is one of the worst moves in the game, and I would also call it the worst move Samus has. Up air is nowhere near this bad. Not even up smash is this bad. Using up tilt can put you in an active disadvantage, which can easily lead to your stock. And the risk for using it is way too high for what little reward you can get out of it. And you know what makes Samus's up tilt even more laughable? Captain Falcon's up tilt in the same game. It might look the same as Samus's, but trust me, this is just a better version of Samus's up tilt. Falcon's up tilt is significantly faster and stronger than Samus's, making it a more practical and more rewarding move to land. The move also actually has two separate hitboxes, so in the right scenarios, both hits can connect for big damage, as well as giving the move much better shield pressuring potential, either leading to a free shield poke or guaranteed plus frames on shield.
Show me your moves.
And the thing is that Falcon's up tilt still isn't a good move, still sharing similar weaknesses to Samus's, albeit to a lesser extent. Having reliability issues with the first hit struggling to lead into the second hit at higher percents, as well as being one of Falcon's overall weaker moves, often being outclassed by other options. It's just an okay move which has some niche applications. But compared to Samus's up tilt, this is the overpowered boss character version of the move. Sakurai literally made Samus's up tilt, he gave Falcon a similar yet way better up tilt, and then he just didn't update Samus's up tilt after that. What a genius.
Thanks for watching,
guys.
Just smash the like button, comment and subscribe.